Well, howdy there, Space Monkeys. Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden, and in this episode, we're going to kind of get to know each other a little bit. I'm going to ask you guys to help me out with something, and I do this routinely on my show where, if I don't know, a new book to read, or if I really want to find a new author, or even a new comedian, in this case, I like to ask you guys. So what we're going to do in this episode is I'm going to tell you the comedians that I grew up on, and I'm going to rank them. You know me, I'm the top 10 guy. I fucking do top 10 everything. So I'm going to give you guys, the comedians that I have basically, watched all of their stuff, and I grew up on them. But here's the thing. I'm kind of, running out of people to watch. And if you're like me, and you do comedy the way that I do, I like to kind of watch other comedians and study them, their delivery, how they put together their jokes and stuff like that. That's kind of like watching the game tape. You like to improve your craft by watching other people that are really, really good at it and trying to help yourself by doing the things that they do well and incorporating that. And I kind of evolve as the years go on. So I'm going to give you guys the notable mentions and my top 10 comedians that I basically have seen all their stuff. And then I'm going to ask you guys, who am I missing? Recommend me some things in the comments, because I'm honestly I'm running low and I don't know who to turn to. But after you guys hear who I'm into and who I've grown up on, you'll understand kind of what I'm into, so you'll be able to recommend me some good ones. So let's start with the notable mentions here, guys. And these are in no particular order. And once you hear the notable mentions, you'll want to stick around for the top 10, because there's some really good names in here that I didn't even rank. Louis C.K., Mitch Hedberg, Tom Segura, Sarah Silverman, Sam Kinneson, Marc Marin, Lewis Black, Dennis Leary, Chris Rock, and Russell Brand. Now, obviously, some of these people are still doing great work. Some of them have died. Some of them haven't done much lately. Sarah Silverman has a joke in her most recent stand-up routine. This is probably, if not the funniest joke, top 2 or 3 funniest jokes I've ever heard in my entire life. And that is the joke about her sister getting drunk at college. Go watch that. Thank me later. That joke, I've seen that stand-up special 5 or 10 times, man, and every single time I laugh so hard I nearly piss myself. It's a great joke. And Sarah Silverman is an extremely talented comedian, and she's into politics too, which also helps her comedy. Also, Russell Brand is doing his thing. He's one of the best living satirists, and he's doing his thing kind of with his YouTube channel. But as far as I've heard, as of today, he announced that he's actually going on tour. I think it's in a different country, though. I don't think he's actually touring in the U.S., but that would be cool. I wouldn't mind going to see Russell Brand at some point. He seems like, he's very funny, and he's got his head on straight. So now let's go with the top 10, working our way up from the bottom. And these are just the people that I've seen all of their stuff, and I basically grew up on it. And a lot of these people I rewatch, and you'll notice that some of my stuff, my style, kind of derives a little bit piece by piece from a lot of these comedians. So starting with number 10 is Bo Burnham. He's still so young, and the sky's the limit for Bo. I worry a little bit about him. His most recent stand-up routine was... It's not really a stand-up routine. His special Inside on Netflix was brilliant. Beyond brilliant. It'll strike at your soul and at your funny bone. It's wonderful. But the thing is with him is, he got into this so early, and I feel like the fame kind of hit him hard, and you can kind of see it. It comes out as a little bit cynical and downtrodden, and I understand that, but my goodness, is he talented. Oh my God, is he talented. And Inside is a masterwork. It's one of those things where it's where do you go from here? He just knocked it out the park. So Bo Burnham is number 10. Number 9 is Jim Jeffries. I liked his older stuff a little better than his newer stuff. He went kind of viral originally for being the guy that drops the C-bomb more than anybody else, but most notably for his take on gun control, which is by far his most watched clip. Very poignant, but he's, again, kind of an observational comedian, and he does not hold back. He, has some jokes that I think are even a little bit over the line sometimes, but that's the thing. I don't really give a shit if you go over the line. If you're funny and I'm laughing, I don't really give a shit, so a lot of the people on here are very offensive, but I don't give a shit. That's kind of what I tune in for. So Jim Jeffries is number 9, and he has done 4 specials, something like that. And his early stuff especially is hysterical. Number 8 is Ricky Gervais. Now, he's done a bunch of stand-up stuff that was great, but the stuff that he did to open the Golden Globes recently, that you saw that clip where he's just roasting every fucking comedian or every fucking actor and famous person in the crowd. Oh my God. It's so funny. He's so cathartic. And Ricky's one of those guys where in real life, he's like, I've heard he's like the most docile, calm, wonderful, nice human being in the world. But when you put a mic in his hand, look the fuck out. He is looking to go for broke, and he'll look for any excuse to just destroy you. And that, like the Golden Globes routine that he did went viral for a reason. I will post that in the description box below. It is absolutely wonderful. And you can see that, like, he literally has all of these oligarchs and these rich assholes in the crowd, like, nervous because they're not sure how far he's going to go. So I love Ricky Gervais. I think he's wonderful. And he has a couple of shows that he's done along the way on Netflix that are also really good. And I highly recommend anything that he's done as far as that as well. Number 7 is Bill Burr. Now, Bill Burr, again, is one of those guys that he crosses the line routinely, but he's a cool dude, and he's, again, observational. He doesn't do so much, like, political stuff, but he just does really, really, observational humor. He talks about relationships and, the problems that he's had with women along the way, and, of course, sometimes he crosses the line, but, again, I still think he's hilarious, and he had probably, if not Sarah Silverman's joke, Bill Burr has probably told the joke that makes me laugh the hardest of any of them, and it's in You Walk Your Way Out, which I think was like his second to last one. He did like Paper Tiger, but his second to last one was in black and white. I think it's from that one, where it's the helicopter joke about the guy that jumps out of the helicopter. Oh my God. Every time he tells that joke, I like literally cry laughing. So Bill is wonderful, and you can tell he's got no filter. He just tells you what he thinks, and he's more like hitting bullet points rather than setting up the joke and knocking it down. He's more or less unscripted, but he knows like kind of how he wants to navigate through his jokes and just kind of rambles. So I love Bill Burr. I think he's fucking hilarious. And even when people try to cancel him, he's just like, yeah, you go fuck yourselves. Number 6, this might be the most offensive guy on the entire list, is Anthony Jeselnik. And I love his comedy so much, but he is very regimented in the way that he does things. His most recent one, Fire in the Maternity Ward, was one of the most hysterical stand-up routines I've ever seen in my life. But he's one of those guys where, like, he pisses off somebody with every joke that he tells. And he's also, he's kind of funny. He was on Getting Dug with High at some point, and, like, you can tell he's kind of an impatient douchebag in real life because Doug Benson was, like, really scatterbrained in the way that he runs his show when he was interviewing Anthony, and Anthony just started roasting him the entire time. So a man after my own heart, although I don't think I'm a huge dick in real life, and I've heard that Anthony, can get a little bit cocky in his spare time. So I'm not going to hold that against him. His 2 stand-up specials that I've seen, plus his original roast back in the day, which is, I think he was with Amy Schumer, and then he was one of the original, like, young roast masters, and he just blew everybody away with that roast. So he is absolutely hilarious. Probably the most brutal comedian I know. Okay, number 5 is a legend, Richard Pryor, the legendary satirist who basically broke down all the barriers of talking about like race relations in this country and making it very, very funny and making it very, very uncomfortable for white people that weren't used to that shit back in the day. So Richard's a genius. He's also from Peoria, where I'm from too. There's like a road named after him here. He grew up right around where I am right now. So I have an immense amount of respect for him. I've watched everything that he's done. He's fucking hysterical. He needs no introduction. He could really be number 1 on anybody's list. It's just I didn't watch him quite as much as these other 4 that are ahead of him, but he, as pound for pound, like, he's one of the greatest of all time. So, next one is Bill Hicks. Died young. Oh, what a shame. He's only got a couple of stand-up specials out there, but if you know anything about him, he is a satirist, one of the best of all time. So I've watched everything that he's done 10 times. And it's too bad because he died before his peak. But man, again, he's one of those people that goes for broke. He will destroy the establishment and the government. That's really all he talks about, is how fucked up the world is and how the government keeps screwing us over. So you can't go wrong with Hicks. Pick any of his stand-up specials and you're in for a treat if you haven't seen him. And he, again, very, very gross, very graphic, uses a lot of disgusting imagery, which I appreciate very much in my comedians. So Bill Hicks is number 4. Number 3 is George Carlin. And again, on any other list, he could be number 1. But he's probably the comedian that I try most to, like, emulate, and I respect his ability to break down, like, complex political ideas into jokes and make everybody laugh at them. And he was another one of those ones where you could tell that he had his jokes written out, but it wasn't like set it up, knock it down, set it up, knock it down. He was more like a philosopher who happened to be funny, and he knew he was going to bitch about these 4 or 5 things and about politics and the way that we do things in this country, but it was just him rambling with jokes put in between. So he really comes off as more like a philosopher than a comedian. And the last two on this list that are ahead of him do that just as well as he does. Number 2 is Dave Chappelle. He does this exactly. He's kind of like Pryor and Carlin in a way. Like he took like what Pryor did and he like went further. And what Dave understood more than anybody, which I love about him, is that like the best way to get people talking about certain things about politics and the shit in this country is to have a controversial and hilarious joke about it that everybody starts talking about. So he like thrives on controversy, and that's a good thing. I don't think he likes it so much as he just understands that by making certain jokes, you're going to have everybody's ear and everybody's going to be talking about what you said, and that in a way brings the conversation to touchy subjects that we need to talk about in this fucking, repressed hellscape of a country that we're living in. So Chappelle is number 2. He's a comedic genius. He's a comic god, and he understands exactly what all these other 2 or 3 at the top understand, which is you can teach people a lot about life and politics by being a little controversial and getting in their faces a little bit. Speaking of that, that's why number 1 is Doug Stanhope. My favorite comedian, favorite living comedian certainly, and he does this that the other, Pryor, Carlin, and Chappelle do, but he's arguably the most disgusting. He has like a little bit of that Jeselnik in there where like he actually likes to disturb the crowd a little bit, which I think is awesome, but he always just talks about life, and as far as I know, like I don't know what he labels himself. He considers himself very libertarian, but I don't know beyond that, but the stuff that he talks about is just talking about the gross parts of life and shining the world's biggest spotlight on it. I mean, he'll hit like pedophilia in the church and, rape, which, dude, like, a lot of these people, like, they will touch on that and people get mad on them for making a joke about rape, but all they're trying to do is bring the conversation to, like, sexual violence in America. Bill Burr does that, Jeselnik does that, Stanhope does it too. But the thing is, they realize that by being controversial and being a sort of a lightning rod for these topics, they can bring the conversation to them. So a lot of people don't like Stanhope. A lot of people do, in fact, heckle him, which I don't agree with, but he always rubs somebody the wrong way. I mean, you can watch any one of his stand-up routines. Deadbeat Hero is maybe the greatest stand-up routine I've ever seen in my life. I laugh so hard at that one. It's wonderful. But any number of his routines are amazing. And if you know anything about Stanhope, is that he'll play anywhere. He loves to go out and actually, like, perform. So he just, it's his art, it's his therapy, it's the way that he just, like vents and everything like that. So he is, in my opinion, the greatest comedian of all time. I love Doug Stanhope. And he's got a couple of hilarious books, like Digging Up Mother. I might read that on the show one day. That would be hysterical. And in fact, I might just do that. So now that you guys have heard my, top 10 and my notable mentions, please leave me some more recommendations in the comment box. I would love that. And I gotta let you know, guys, I did my roast. It is filmed. It will be on Rockfin momentarily, like within the next hour or 2. And then I will release it tomorrow during prime time on YouTube. You might want to tune in for that. I am going to piss off a lot of people again. So I love you guys. Leave some comments below. Let me know who I need to watch that are kind of like these comedians that I just mentioned to you guys just now. And that would be much appreciated because I always like to kind of keep up with things and try to evolve my comedy as we go along. I love you guys. Keep fighting that good fight out there. I'll talk to you later.